Welcome into Philthy, a Philadelphia Eagles podcast. I'm 𝐸𝐴𝐵. That's Tyson Gentry. This is on the I Said What I Said YouTube channel. Tyson, NFL trade deadline came and went. And boy, oh boy, people are saying it was Howie Roseman's season once again, baby.
They always are. Like, no matter what Howie does. And we're going to talk about these moves. And I think if you're listening to this, you know what we're talking about with Jaelan Phillips and the corners and all that stuff. But I do want to just, like, a little caution to people that, like, we do this every year. Robert Quinn didn't work. Like Golden Tate caught the game-winning touchdown in the playoffs, but you can argue one way or the other it didn't work. The point is that there's not that many front offices in the NFL that say, that's an issue. Let's go fix that issue while we can. We want to go win a Super Bowl. And so that's where, like, I've been critical of some Howie moves in season before for sure. But there's something to – there are 20 other teams in the league right now. Brandon Beane just sat on his hands, with a team that wants to win a Super Bowl. That's not who Howie Roseman is, and that's why he's got two of these things.
Tyson, we talked about the two things the Eagles need that worry us. We said, yes, the offense doesn't look great, but we have a feeling that Saquon Barkley will figure it out, which he did last game. We have a feeling the passing offense will figure it out, starting to look better. We said this team needs edge rushing, cornerback help. I predicted they were going to go get cornerback help, edge rusher at the deadline. I think anybody could predict that because we have Howie Roseman as a general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. And like you said, he is not somebody who's going to sit on his hands like some of the other GMs. My fourth round pick, that's a little expensive. It's like we can get Jaelan Phillips for a third round pick. I don't care. Some people out there saying, "Oh, did the Eagles trade too much for an injury prone guy?" If this guy helps you win the Super Bowl back to back, there's no such thing as too expensive. Like that's the reality. That's the era, I guess, for lack of a better term, that the Eagles are in right now. Tyson, it's chips into the center of the table year after year type of thing.
How many times in your career ever as a general manager across the history of the NFL do you have a chance to go back to back? Like it's less than 50. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's 50 times, whatever it is. That like a general manager can be like, hey, I have a chance to do this. That's my name in history. And we'll talk about the trades here. But quickly, have the Philadelphia Eagles ever won a bye week as emphatically as they just won this one?
The only thing I can think about is when they were like super banged up, like 10 guys were on IR and like 6 of them came back. And I was like, oh, they can field the competitive team. I think it was like a few years ago. It's like, oh, so wow.
That would be number 2 maybe of recent memory. Maybe that was that 2021?
I think so, because that was the year from
9-8, ended up making the playoffs because they went on that run. Because the bye week was like right after they played the 49ers and the Chiefs. Like back-to-back, I think, going into that. It was like everybody's dead. The receiving course sucks. It's Greg Ward out here by himself. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Dallas loses, gets embarrassed. Washington loses, gets embarrassed. The New York Giants lose. And, like, you get better on the roster, and you come out, you go into the bye week, like, hey, the Eagles are looking pretty good in the NFC East, but, you can squint and maybe see somebody getting hot. And then they come out of this thing, they're 3 wins up.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Tyson, you said Commanders, and I just thought of Jaden Daniels' elbow. That was
disgusting.
So gross. Dude.
Disgusting. Like, I mean, that's like 2 weeks in a row of and they happen to be other NFC East teams, right? With the 𝐃𝐨𝐬 thing. And now, first of all, why is Jaden Daniels in the game? That's a conversation for a different podcast. Dan Quinn, what are we doing?
That's tough. That was tough. But to your point, to get you back on track or get myself back on track, the Eagles are going to win this division. It's pretty much clear now with the Cowboys losing, with Jaden Daniels getting hurt, and Giants with 𝐃𝐨𝐬 getting hurt and just not being a good team. So you have a luxury of going and after players like this. And Howie Roseman did. I'm tipping my cap to him. I think every Eagles fan should be excited, but it might not work out like you highlighted. But let's dive into each of these deals and discuss our thoughts here, because Jaelan Phillips, Tyson, this is the big headliner. This got everybody's attention. You get to acquire him for a third-round pick in the 2026 draft. You get a ton of cap savings for what the Dolphins were doing to get Jaelan Phillips. This is a guy, if he doesn't tear his ACL, his Achilles, doesn't tear up his knee, is just wrecking shop, man. His first year, 8.5 sacks. Second year, 7 sacks. In 8 games, Tyson, in 2023, 6.5 sacks where he gets hurt. We're talking about a guy with 26 career sacks across 55 games in 5 years where he has missed major time due to injury. He is a monster on the edge.
Who is his defensive coordinator in that 2023 season?
Would that be Vic Fangio?
Okay, so that certainly helps things, and you know that Vic is going to go to the podium and be like, "I signed off on this one." Like,
Right.
I want a little credit for what's about to happen because this is huge. This is Eagles are 21st in the NFL in sacks, and yeah, the Brandon Graham thing is fun, but like outside of situational snaps, I think he's really there for like locker room vibes guy, and helping the team along more so than he is for on field production. Nolan Smith coming back off IR. You add Jaelan Phillips here. Jaelan Hunt just had the best game of his regular season career, probably against the New York Giants going into the bye. Moro Ojomo has as many like snaps. I'm not saying anything, man, but like snaps and sacks and pressure rate wise and everything, he's kind of been like Milton Williams. We're not talking about it all. I don't want to jinx it, but this defensive line definitely needed a boost, and they need to be able to get out the passer. And you go out and you get Jaelan Phillips. You highlighted all the stat stuff. The dude was these profiles don't come up for sale very often. Like I think he came out of Miami by way of I can't remember where he transferred from in college there, but like super good player when he's healthy. And if he's hurt, that sucks for the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Dolphins are paying him, and you have the Jets' third-round pick, and you're going to get a comp pick for Milton Williams. So yeah, as much as this was a high-risk move, as some were saying, for a guy that's injured all the time and the draft capital you gave up, Brad, I would do a deal like this for Jaelan Phillips 100 times before I did one for Chase Young.
Oh, for sure. Like, not even close. UCLA, then he transferred to Miami. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. I'm just throwing this all together. Number 1 outside linebacker from ESPN, number 2 from Rivals. So this is a guy with a huge pedigree profile, and he's lived up to that in the NFL. Injuries are the only thing that held him back. This is a smash. I mean, you don't give up a first, you don't give up a second, you give up a third. Tyson, how many times we talked about what is the hit rate the further and further away you go from the top of the draft? Very, very small. And we're talking about adding Jaelan Phillips to 𝐬𝐿, as you said, to Nolan Smith, who will come back, to Jaelan Hunt, who's really starting to come onto his own. Brandon Graham, like you said, probably more a situational vibes guy. This defensive line, or at least the edge rushing unit, at least is starting to get some juice. And we're talking about Jordan Davis playing much better. I don't even think Jalen Carter has lived up to his potential yet. So you add a guy like Jaelan Phillips, what does that do? Woo, baby. I'm starting to get excited about this thing.
And if you're sitting there like, well, his college stuff doesn't really matter. Howie Roseman got on the podium today and was like, oh, it started when he was in college. Like, we love this dude coming out. Sometimes you just have to add freaks. And if it works, it works. But this is we're not here to hit a double. Like, we want to go win a Super Bowl.
And let's get into this. Jaire Alexander and Michael Carter, the second trades, and just to get some compensation, just kind of round this thing out. So the Eagles acquired Jaire Alexander in a 2027 7th from the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for a 2026 6th-round draft pick. And in Michael Carter trade, they acquired him and gave up John Mechie III and a 2027 6th and 7th round pick. So I think there's plenty of areas to unpack here. The first that I'm going to say, Tyson, I think it'll kind of tie into maybe how you're going to attack it, is this was a clear problem on the roster, and this is a clear, we're going to throw bodies at this thing until we try to figure it out. That's not to say Jaire Alexander is going to fix it. That's not to say Michael Carter is going to fix it. But you add that to Ja'Cory Bennett, maybe Adoree Jackson. Can 𝐾𝐨𝐴 Ringo ever figure it out? You already have Cooper DeJean. You already have Quinion Mitchell, who you know can play. It's just, can we find 1 or 2 more guys? And that's what they try to do here.
Yeah, and as Drew Makuba hopefully, comes into his own, like, I don't know if people were paying attention, but you didn't hear his name a whole lot in the Giants game, and that was a good thing going into the bye. I will always take an opportunity to remind people that it was pretty funny that Michael Carter, the corner, went to Duke, and Michael Carter, the running back, went to North Carolina at the same time, because that hurt my head for a little while. Michael Carter, you mentioned it, more of an inside guy, and like, we talked about the tie-in with Vic for Jaelan Phillips. Michael Carter was drafted by Joe Douglas, who's now back with the Philadelphia Eagles. And, yeah, Joe Douglas isn't calling plays or anything, but there is a level of familiarity there. Maybe they think they can get him back to when he was I think it was like PFF top 10. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know the ins and outs of the grading system for nickel corners, but it does allow some flexibility for you there if you can throw him into the slot. Maybe Coop moves to the outside in certain situations. I don't think that's going to be an outright fix, and it's just they're going to come out of the bye and like Cooper DeJean is just on the other side of Quinyon Mitchell every week, but somebody has got to be better than Adoree Jackson. It's not the highest bar. You got to be better than 𝐾𝐨𝐴 Ringo. It's not the highest bar. And Brad, honestly, like, it could still be Jakorian Bennett, and he might be lost in this whole thing. We haven't got to see him play a whole bunch since he goes on IR after just destroying the holder. So Jordan Davis can go score a touchdown. Like, you got to love that. But I think that, again, a very low risk investment, especially with the Jaire Alexander thing. He's a much bigger name. And so I think that's exciting. But like, when you look at it on paper, they gave up more for Kerry Vincent a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? Like, and Kerry Vincent never played, but like, they didn't need Kerry Vincent to be better than Adoree Jackson. And right now they need somebody to be better than him. Because again, the NFC is wide open, and you're going to have to play the Rams, and you're going to have to play the Bucks. Some of these guys, you're going to have to play the Seahawks in the playoffs. And these teams are throwing the ball all over the yard.
And I think that's the thing. Like, we don't know if Jaire Alexander, like 3 years ago, you say the Eagles acquired Jaire Alexander. Like, holy smokes. Like, unbelievable. Cornerbacks age like milk in the sun. Like, 1 year they're elite, and the next year they lost their legs. They can't keep up with receivers. It's just the way it works. It's the hardest
Bradbury, everybody.
As quarterback. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's a recent example here on this pod. You know, like, yeah, unbelievable. And all of a sudden, leg shot, can't keep up with him. He's burnt toast. That could be Jaire Alexander, but it also could be, hey, man, you're just got to play for 8 games and in the playoffs, and you honestly might not be out there the entire time, and you're rotating. So your legs and your deficiencies aren't as prevalent as would be if you're out there just on an island week after week after week, snap after snap after snap. So, you know, I'm a little bit more bullish on that. I have no clue if it's going to work again, but I love this move. They needed to go get it, and you get a guy with a profile again, like Alexander. Maybe you can turn back the clock, and a guy like Michael Carter, who I think, if he's going to be in the nickel, maybe he's a dime guy too, on the opposite side of Coop in the slot. That's great. Like, you're taking away a ton there, and you're just hoping somebody on the edge can be opposite of Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah, and I also like the putting your nuts on the table and being like, we think we're better run than you. Like, we think we can take Jaire Alexander and make him work for us. We know it didn't work for you. So yeah, I'm with all the moves this deadline, and it was quiet until it was loud. Brad, like, what do you make of the Myles Garrett stuff or some of these other rumors? Like, I just thought no idea where they came from. I don't know who Diana Rossini's source is for some of this stuff, but like, this is never ever going to happen. It was fun to think about for a little while, but for like guys who were actually available, the Philadelphia Eagles did pretty well.
I agree with that. I don't think, you know, we're going to hear some smoke. Well, if they gave up this for this, and everybody be like, oh, the Eagles gave up too much. Like, what? You know, so I think this is a perfect.
Were you worried about that at all? That they went first on the edge market, and then no other edges were traded, so like there was nothing to compare it to. I did have that little thought where like, this is great right now, but like if there was Von Miller, you know, people are calling on Von Miller or whatever. It's like, if Von goes for a 7th or something, then I'm going to be like, God damn it.
I don't know. I'd take Jaelan Phillips for a 3rd over Von Miller.
Do you think he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles beyond this season?
I don't know, Tyson. I think edge clearly. If we're looking back on the draft, I think Howie was comfortable with where they were with Nolan Smith and Jaelan Phillips, and it just didn't materialize in the way I thought both he and Vic Fangio expected it to. So that's just a long-winded way of saying I think they know that they need a little bit more edge help. So I wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, with a ton of the picks they had, I wouldn't be surprised if they just threw bodies through the draft at the position either.
Yeah, and they've been, you know, pretty good at that part of the job. I think that it's maybe a little higher than most people are giving it credit for, because everybody right now, it's just a rental. It's just a rental.
Right.
It's just a rental, and I understand that. But like, I don't think Jaelan Phillips is going to command top dollar on the open market, and we know that they're planning because the Jalen Carter contract is going to be insane. You got to pay Q. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to pay Coop and some of these other guys because you've drafted so well. But if this dude comes in here, Brad, and he has 5.5 sacks, you know, and the team goes back to the Super Bowl, he's playing for the Birds next season.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. One of the things here, Tyson, I don't even know why we're discussing this, but we have to, because the Phil media is obsessed with it and the national media is obsessed with it. Headline news: A.J. Brown not traded by Eagles, which we all with the brain knew was not going to happen. I mean, you know, we normally don't take shots. I don't even think this is a shot, but Colin Cowherd's talking, like, was A.J. Brown a problem in the locker room because the offense was performing better? I'm like, they played the Giants. That team stinks. Like I'm sorry, like AJ Brown could have been out there.
He just had 2 touchdowns the week before.
The week prior. So that's just where we're at. I think that gets attention, Tyson, and it draws attention is the AJ Brown stuff. Because anytime you want to look at a quote unquote diva wide receiver, which I don't think AJ Brown is, I think he's super competitive. He wants the football, and rightfully so. I don't think that makes you a diva. Like Terrell Owens, that's a diva. 𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐫𝐞 at the end, that's a diva. Like that's not what AJ Brown is. And so that's just going to drive topics. It's going to drive narratives. And Philly media does this crap all the time. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast, because we feel like we have to be crazy when we talk about the Eagles. What'd you make of this entire nonsense? What do you make of the AJ Brown thing going forward, and just put a bow on this?
I think that like nothing's really changed for me in that we always kind of thought like there's a chance maybe this offseason AJ Brown has moved. But once the season started, it was like, oh, the team is trying to go back to back. He's not your best player, but AJ Brown would be like 25 other team in the best player. Like this dude is insane. He is awesome. We are somehow like spoiled to the point where the Philadelphia Eagles had no receivers for a really long time. And then AJ and Smitty show up. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. We can just rock with Smitty. No, I don't want to go back to this. AJ Brown had 125 yards 6 weeks in a row just a couple years ago. The best team in the league is trying to keep one of their best players so they can go win another Super Bowl. If he's on the New England Patriots in 6 months, we can talk about it then. But, like, what more can the guy – dude, he called into WIP last year to tell everybody how much he loves being on the Eagles and that he wants to play for the Eagles. And as soon as he hangs up the phone, it's like the rumor mill starts back up. And he does some of it to himself. Like, we're not blind to that. I understand that. But also, like, if you shove the microphone in my face 15 minutes after I'm pissed off because I didn't get the ball because I'm the best player in the world and I think I can help us beat the New York Giants or the Denver Broncos or whoever it is, I might say something stupid too. And then I think he likes to troll. And I think he's in a pretty good place for that too.
He is, Tyson, to me, Kevin Durant vibes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He knows he can do it because he gets under people's skin enough, and I think it amuses him because he's like, look how stupid these people are. I can post one thing, and these guys are going to be eating everything up I say. So I think he does it on purpose sometimes. And we talked about this, and maybe it was on here, maybe it was offline. I forget. You know, the thing with Jaelan and AJ, they're 30 now. You know, they're older. They got wives, they got kids. You know, they're not hanging out at the football facility every night anymore, you know? And when that happens, and I can only speak for myself, when I'm not a roommate with somebody like I was in college and you don't see them as often, your interactions next time you see them are just a little bit different. And yes, these guys see each other, but they're coworkers, Tyson. They're not buddies, not frat bros, you know, like they're doing a job and they have to study, they have to do film, and they have to do this. And yes, you're going to have tension and you're going to this and that when you're not getting the ball as much as you should. That's part of sports. And I don't think it's an issue. Maybe I'm wrong, Tyson. Maybe we'll come on here and there'll be a book that comes out and AJ and Jaelan actually hate each other.
BG wrote it.
Relationship. Yeah, BG wrote it. But I don't think that's the case.
No, and if it is, it is. But like, again, I'd like to let everyone know that just because we're in 2025 and everything is readily accessible, it's also none of your business. Like, let them go about their day. And like, the team is 6-2. They're winning football games. I don't think this is Eagles fans. It's just everybody else that wants to like pry into what is going on here. But I mean, it's just like Joe Burrow's hurt, so we don't get any of this out of Cincinnati. But nobody is talking. Like Tyreek Hill said he wants to quit the Dolphins, basically, and then shows back up. And everyone's like, that was weird. But anyways, and then AJ Brown's like, hey, I would like to have the ball more. And it's like AJ Brown hates Philadelphia. He hates Jalen Hurts.
It's crazy. The entire discourse is crazy. So all I have to say is we're not surprised that A.J. Brown was not traded because he was never going to get traded. We are extremely happy that he's on this team. A.J. Brown is a premier talent at wide receiver. A.J. Brown is going to help the Eagles go back to back and win a Super Bowl if they get that far. If they do, it's because A.J. Brown was a big part of it. And that's just a reality. That's how good he is.
Would you have liked to go after one other position today?
I would not. So let's do that with closing thoughts. I was happy with this. Me personally, you know, Tyson, if I want to nitpick, offensive line, maybe. I'm still confident in that group.
Who you snagging, you know?
You're like Trevor Penning. Like, is that moving the needle for us? You know, like, is that making us happy? So, no, I'm very – 2 corners, throw bodies at it, see if it works, and you go get a guy in Jaelan Phillips, which, baby, I'm pumped for that.
Yeah, I thought maybe they'd add another tight end. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
But, like, again, this was about as smash successes you can get on paper. And the Philadelphia Eagles were involved in 3 trades over a trade deadline where normally nothing happens. And so this was just a good reminder of, like, it's fun to be a Bears fan.
It's always fun when Howie Roseman's calling the shots, man. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and we've been critical of him in the past. A lot of times, though, you know where you stand because he's going to be aggressive. He's going to make aggressive moves, and that's what we like here. Let's get out of here, Tyson. Like, subscribe, and share the show. Again, this is Philthy. This is the Philadelphia Eagles focused podcast that we do, which is on the I Said What I Said channel. So if you're finding us through that, you aren't an Eagles fan, don't worry. Don't unsubscribe or anything. We still talk about the NFL. We talk about college football. Basketball season started. We love college hoops. We love the NBA. We're going to try to work some of that in as we go. It's still early in the season, yada, yada. But
Shout
we got
out
a ton
San
of stuff
State,
out
man.
there. That's your guys, man. That's your guys. So what I'm trying to say is subscribe to this channel so you don't miss anything we do, whether that's Eagle stuff or that's all the other stuff that I just mentioned. Smash the like button on the way out if you're watching on YouTube. Share it with a friend, an enemy, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, all that good stuff. And we'll talk to y'all when we talk to you. Till then, peace.